Folks, this is for week ending July 23rd, 2025 for the City of Toronto. Let me tell you about 1% versus 99%. If you want to speak directly with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. I've seen this situation before, and it normally doesn't end well. Here's what happened. This buyer, this is a few years ago, he's looking to buy a house, sees one he really likes, doesn't quite qualify for the mortgage. The banks tell him he needs to show more income. So he speaks with a family member who has a good job, is pretty stable, great credit, and he says, listen, I need some help qualifying. I got to show more income. Do you mind, on paper, not co-signing, but co-owning this home with me, being on title, but I will take care of all the mortgage, all the bills. It's my house. I just need your help to qualify for the mortgage. The family member says, sure, I'll help out. And that's what happened. So they both buy this home together, although the original, we'll call him buyer A, the original owner, it's his house. He's the one living in there, paying all the bills, all the mortgage. The other family member, we'll call buyer B, is just on title, name only. As the home gets closer to closing, turns out that buyer B has never purchased a home before. So he has access to a first-time, for land transfer tax, a first-time home buyer rebate on land transfer tax. And to take full advantage of that land transfer tax rebate for first-time home buyers, they decide that they're going to buy this under tenants in common, and they're going to split the ownership shares 99% for buyer B, the family member, and 1% for buyer A, the original. This way, they could take 99% advantage of the amount of the first-time home buyer land transfer tax rebate. So that's what they do. And for several years, things go great. Now, the original plan, the way it was spelled out to each other, was that buyer A is paying all the bills, and that's exactly what's happening. They don't deviate from that. And at some point along the way, when buyer A qualifies, he's going to renegotiate a mortgage and take buyer B off, and then buyer A will have full ownership and be the only one on title. Well, a bunch of years go by, and buyer A never really qualifies to take over the mortgage themselves, but some equity has been built up, and things are as they are, and buyer A decides, I'm going to sell the house, which he does. He puts the property up for sale, sells the property, and as it approaches closing, the lawyer explains to this, now it's seller A and seller B, because they're both on title, explains to seller A that the proceeds, whatever profit is left over, the equity in the home is going to be split up according to the percentages registered on title, meaning 99% for seller B and 1% for seller A. Now, seller A says, oh, but we have an agreement. I've been paying all the bills, paying all the mortgage. It's actually my house. All the proceeds are going to go to me. And the lawyer says, no problem. Can we get seller B to sign something saying all the proceeds are going to you? And so seller A approaches seller B and explains what they need. And seller B says, you know, you would not have been able to buy this home at all if I didn't buy it with you. I'm not asking for 99% of the proceeds, but I think it's fair I get at least half. After all, I was on title also. This has happened many times. lots of good intentions, verbal. Everybody loves each other. Everybody is getting along until something changes, until money's involved, usually, until something changes. And now there's nothing in writing. I can tell you this has happened before and will continue to happen if these verbal agreements are not written out clearly for everybody to understand everybody's responsibilities in the different possible scenarios. One of the scenarios being what happens when we sell the house? What happens with the profit? What happens if there's a loss? All this needs to be spelled out in writing so there's no question at the end. That's the conclusion you need to take away from this. Get everything in writing, no matter what, no matter how good your relationship is, no matter how good the intentions are, get it in writing. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. And the numbers, we're not doing the numbers, the data this week. We'll resume the numbers next week. Have a great day.